We live in such interesting times. For many of us, during this challenging time, we realized that the work that we were doing wasn't as fulfilling as we wanted it to be. And then for others of us, we decided to just quit our job or end our jobs entirely, being part of what the Wall Street Journal calls the Great Resignation. My name is Damon Brown, and I've coached hundreds of people on their career pivots, on moving on from one thing to the next, and most importantly, helping them with their side hustles so they can be financially solvent while keeping their day job. I have a new book coming out called Career Remix, Get the Gig You Want Based on the Skills You Got. It's available in January 2022. Available at all your favorite bookstores. I talk about 3 different things in Career Remix. Number 1, how to pivot from one particular job or career to another one, to something that's more fulfilling. Number 2, to identify those things that are really important to you in your current position or a position you just left, so you can carry that with you and make wiser decisions as you move on to your next part of your career. And lastly, the difference between a job and a career. A job is something that might be temporary that you do for pay or because you love the organization or how they serve. A career, though, is something that's forever. And that's what I'll be talking about in the new book. Again, if you want more insight about Career Remix, Get the Gig You Want Based on the Skills You Got, visit me over at mycareerremix.com or just pre-order or order Career Remix at your favorite book retailer. Look forward to working with you.
The quickest way to not get anywhere is to try to go back to what was. You cry over what is finished, overanalyze your past decisions based on the information you have available now, and miss opportunities that are in the here and now. It is what you hear as the next politician gets into office, as the new job replaces the old one, or as vaccines roll out for epidemic. We want things to go back to normal, as if we hadn't changed in the interim. We want to return to how it was, willfully ignoring any insights, any gifts delivered to us in the process. We want to turn back time, fooling ourselves into thinking things were better before. Psychologists call this the halo effect, creating an idealized or critical view of something based on your initial impression. Coined by psychologist Edward Thorndike, the halo effect describes people's tendency to let one positive trait guide their total opinion of a person, product, or experience, says behavior change strategist Jennifer Kleinhens. Thorndike discovered the effect after noticing that commanding officers in the military judged their soldiers to be either all good or all bad. Almost no one was described as good at one thing but bad at another. One positive or negative trait disproportionately influenced the officers' opinions. For instance, if you had ice cream for the first time ever at your neighborhood corner store, then that first experience of that sweet, cold, and sticky sensation raises your view of the product. I know that the cheesesteak, specifically from the bodega down the street from my late grandmother, is the best sandwich in the world. Seriously, you couldn't get a better one in Camden, New Jersey, or even in the tri-state. Trust me, I've tried. I can taste it right now. But that simple sub with meat, provolone cheese, and grilled onions ties directly to my childhood. Playing with my favorite cousins, elder relatives sneaking me candy, getting hugs from all the aunties. I can think of a dozen other foods that give me the same reaction, as I'm sure you can too. And I know other Jerseyites are making an equally passionate argument for their corner cheesesteaks. Most of us recognize our biases in food, music, and other specific cultural experiences. When it comes to our other firsts, though, our first management position, our first job where we bonded with our coworkers beyond the workplace, our first role making enough money to feel financially secure, then it is a lot tougher to see our idealization. Our bias ties to a new phenomenon, too, called nostalgic preferences. In short, the past will always be better than the present. It doesn't matter if it was your first time or not. Memory seems to operate much like a record store, stocking the hits of the past and both the hits and the duds of the present, says Carnegie Mellon University Associate Professor of Marketing and Tepper School of Business BP Junior Faculty Chair, Carrie K. Morwedge. Rather than recognize this bias, however, we mistakenly believe that what we remember is representative of the entire category of experiences, giving rise to nostalgic preferences. You may see the problem now. You hate your current role and pine for the position that you had before. So you quit or are let go. You then convince yourself that the job you just left wasn't that bad. The damage is threefold. You frame the narrative so idealistically that you don't break down exactly why you're so unhappy. You don't honor those intense feelings in the past and thus set yourself up with some serious emotional baggage to unpack in your next job. And since you didn't learn and crystallize the lessons from the past, you're more likely to be in a similar situation again with any new role you take. Like any breakup, you need time to mourn the loss, reflect on what you'll miss, and then synthesize any insights. If you're like me, you may have even found yourself angry at being at a job, sad when the job ended, and missing it much later. We're all guilty of a little revisionist history. Unfortunately, our myopic, past idealizing approach makes us brittle and harsh in how we treat ourselves, and worse, each other.
Thank you for hanging out with me. All right, so I'm going to read the introduction. And like I said, I'm getting old, so I'm going to take my glasses off. Soon I'm going to be in bifocal land. I can already tell. It runs in the family. I'm going to run too. I'm going to read the introduction. It's called The Noble Pig. My Southern African-American relatives have a wonderful saying, from the rooter to the tutor. From a very early time in America, this phrase means utilizing every part of the pig, from the nose, used for rooting out food on the ground, to the behind, used for passing gas. My enslaved ancestors had to work with the scraps, the leftovers, and the discards given after the head family ate the most desired parts. From this, we see the origins of pig's feet, chitterlings, and ham hocks. Today, they are honored parts of the soul food catalog, culinary delights. Excuse me. Today, they are honored parts of the soul food catalog, culinary delights, spruced up and served by Michelin star restaurants down south and beyond. But they came from pain, necessity, and most notably, innovation. From the rooter to the tutor now applies to any situation in which we utilize our whole experience. It means there is nothing wasted. Ironically, this saying derived from the desire for survival, but now it represents a mindset of abundance. Mindset author and psychologist Carol Dweck would call this a growth mindset, viewing every experience as an abundant opportunity to learn, as opposed to a fixed mindset, looking at things as win or lose propositions. Dweck says a fixed mindset person believes they have innate abilities. I am smart at math. It also means they believe in innate caps. I am dumb at science. They believe themselves and everyone to be born into their station in life. They put themselves into an intellectual caste system. Dozens of studies later, Dweck's findings suggest that people exhibiting fixed mindsets tend to gravitate to activities that confirm their abilities, whereas those with growth mindsets tend to seek activities that expand their abilities, writes Peter Sims, author of Little Bets, How Breakthrough Ideas Emerge from Small Discoveries. Dweck explains, when confronted with a task, people with a fixed mindset ask, am I going to be good at it immediately? With a growth mindset, people ask, well, can I learn to do it? Students with fixed mindsets want to appear capable, even if that means not learning in the process. Because setback and criticism threaten their self-image, they give up more easily and exhibit greater risk aversion. This fixed mentality stunts how well we can adapt to career opportunities, recognize our business potential, or otherwise thrive in our professions. How can you upskill, pivot, or evolve if you believe that you are stuck with whatever learning/capacity you currently have? This isn't new. Picture the silent film stars unwilling to adapt to the talking movies, or the horse and buggy dealers not acknowledging the power of the Model T. No, the real challenge today is twofold. First, we are the CEO of our own career. From the baby boomers on, each new age group has had more independent branding, from social media posts to the gig economy, and less job security. Baby boomers are expected to have about a half dozen jobs in their lifetime, and the number has increased about 50% for each successive generation, 9 jobs for Gen X, and so on. Second, the needs of the community, that is, the needs of the job market, are changing exponentially faster. Yes, technology is part of the trend, with the internet, mobile devices, and increased globalization evolving our needs. Deeper than that are our own needs. We want the business we patronize to reflect, or at least not offend, our personal ethics, while creating a seemingly tailored experience for us and us alone. And in the workforce, it's not enough to have a long career at one organization. We also want to have work-life balance, be inspired in a stable environment, and make an impact on the world. It doesn't mean we are asking for too much. It means we can't use old methods to create new, fluid careers. Going to school for several years and paying hundreds of thousands of dollars makes sense when the career path guarantees a return on investment, if not an exponential ROI. Narrowly defining your skill to focus on a specific output makes sense when speciality, not versatility, is king. The best career opportunities today, though, didn't exist yesterday. And identifying too closely with the medium instead of the message is a quick way to make yourself extinct. Chris Jones, innovative food entrepreneur and co-founder of Chef Steps, an online resource for cooks, says, "Growing up, my father told me, don't worry about what you're going to do, because the job I was going to do hadn't been invented yet. Most interesting jobs are the ones that you make up." As I share in my book, The Ultimate Bites of the Entrepreneur, the best way to strive every day is to actually dive into new circumstances as if they were on your agenda. Uncertainty is your ally. The tools, the skills, and the circumstances you need to make your mark on the world may not even exist yet. You cannot be certain of what's going to happen next. An event that happens in the next 24 hours could change the course of your career and provide a quantum leap in your understanding. It will not be something you can predict, and it will be something not something you can control. It will be something that you will have to accept. The less resistance you have to your next adventure, the more you will gain from its arrival. Keep in mind, my previous book and Jones' brilliant commentary came in 2017, well before the coronavirus pandemic. The record-breaking unemployment, radical work-from-home modifications, and evolving market needs accelerated the cycle. People who had mastered in-person networking, speaking, and presentations suddenly had to pivot onto the computer screen. Service workers adapted their environment to socially distant plastic glass buffered experiences. Educators used to facilitating face-to-face intimacy began to see technology not as a nicety, but as a lifeline to their students. Every single one of us is adjusting. The playing field is about as level as it's going to get in our lifetime, and the window of opportunity is closing. And this is Robert Greene. Right now, the focus is on being conservative, doing what puts food on your table. And it can be very destructive since the recession won't last forever, but these ideas can become habits. The 48 Laws of Power author Robert Greene told me when we were talking during the last recession a decade ago. If anything, his evergreen advice proves his point. Your career must ride the cycle of constant change. If you're at a job and you can't leave, you can say, I'm going to be prudent and not fearful. I'm going to learn more skills and stay here for 2 more years. And it changes the whole game. If you want to start your own business, and I'm a huge proponent of entrepreneurship, as that's the only way you have control, then you can be working at Pizza Hut, but at night you're studying and doing another thing where you have a purpose. Excuse me. In Career Remix, we're going to break down 3 strong traits that will help you maximize opportunities you've got right now. First, we'll recognize the strengths you have on deck. Upskilling, reeducating, or redefining yourself don't make much sense if you don't acknowledge the insight, power, and resources you've already earned. You don't need to throw away your previous or current career to grow. Instead, that will become the fertilizer, if not the advantage, of your next career move. Second, we will design a plan for our next move. It isn't meticulously figuring out your next career. It is becoming clear on the intention, and that intention becomes the compass. The beauty is that the compass set to true north will always point to the next best move. Better to be fixed on your intention than to orient your career around a leader, organization, or identity. Lastly, we will draw in others who value our true north as much as we do. Networking has gotten a bad rap as of late, probably because emphasis has been on transactional interactions. I do this for you if you do this for me, instead of relational interactions. I want to see you grow because we both have the same ultimate intention. Once you connect based on wanting the same impact on the world, then you pull in advocates that want to see you win, gain customers that will happily pay a premium to work with you, and attract leaders who will do their best to put you in a position of power. It isn't about acing the next job interview. It's not about clinging on to a position that isn't working anymore. It isn't about assuming that whenever work you do now will be what you do forever. It is time to take a holistic approach to your career. Any stumbles, surprises, or strays just add more to your toolbox. Let's dig in and maximize what you got to make your best career, from the rooter to the tutor. That's the intro. And over the following 18 chapters, excuse me, I break down how we can do that, from building smart, cohesive networks, as I talked about with Dory Clark on Newsweek TV. I mentioned that link way up in the beginning. Really good conversation. I suggest you tune in if you're interested in the book at all, as I talk with Dory about setting up different types of networks, to finding different ways to pivot and create and create paths in multiple directions. It doesn't mean spreading yourself too thin. It means working with what you have, figuring out where you want to go, and then starting to fertilize, starting to seed those things. And this book, I think, as soon as I find it, like, I got too many books over here. This book, I think, will help you on your journey. Anyway, I am losing my voice. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm super proud of the book and the launch. There's going to be some fun stuff, especially as the world opens up, that I got planned for y'all. In the meantime, be sure and tune into the Bring Your Worth show. I'll come to y'all every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's been so fun connecting with y'all over the past year. Slowly approaching a year and a half, and 200 episodes. And if you're new to the show, or if you're not familiar with the show, dig in. Again, man, you can binge the show, I think, for like 4 days now. Then there's like 4 days worth of content on there. So have fun. I'm doing it all for y'all. Thank you for supporting Career Remix. And with the show, you can subscribe always for free at youtube.com/BrownDamon. Anyway, love y'all. Appreciate y'all. As soon as I get the words out of my mouth, I do appreciate y'all so much that I'm tripping over myself. Thank you for the congrats. Anyway, remember, you can always bring your worth. You can always build from now. Take care and be well.